This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Monday, the 23rd day of January in the year 2023. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting, and here's what we're tracking tonight.
Born in the land of the mighty Roraimos, land of great rivers and far-stretching seas. So like the mountain, the seas, and the river, great, wide, and deep in our lives would you be. Onward, upward, may we ever go. Day by day in strength and beauty grow, till at length we each of us may show what Guyana's sons and daughters can be.
Kickstarting this year's budget debate in the National Assembly with a rendition of the song for Guyana's children, opposition Member of Parliament Nima Flubess railed into the government for presenting what she described as a very uninspiring, hopeless, misleading and troubling budget. The APNU-AFC Member of Parliament told the House that since the return of the PP civic government, it has been doom and gloom for many citizens.
Since the PPPC government was placed into office in 2020, their first budget, a plan for prosperity, resulted in the destruction of the people at Success, East Coast, Demwaro. Their second budget in 2021 was set on a path to recovery with economic dynamism and resilience. But what we saw was the average Guyanese being resilient with the economic doom. When we thought, Mr. Speaker, when we thought those on the other side of the House who are in recovery after being out of office for 5 years and had learned something about serving people, 2022 proved no different. With the largest budget, Mr. Speaker, the Guyanese populace got a good feel of what it meant to be steadfast against all challenges. Steadfast against all challenges. Mr. Speaker, challenges of the high cost of living, with prices climbing.
The opposition MP told the parliament that the cost of basic food items has skyrocketed, with price of cooking oil jumping from $360 to $800 per bottle. The situation, she added, is no different for sugar and other items in the local market. Flubess argued that while grants issued by the government have remained static, prices for various goods and services continue to climb, with Guyanese clinging for survival. In last year's budget, the government, in an attempt to mitigate the price increases, reduced the excise tax on petroleum products from 20% to 10%, and by March that year reduced it to zero. But MP Flubess told the National Assembly that while businesses benefited from tax waivers and reductions, the impact was not felt at the level of consumers. She said instead, ordinary Guyanese are now faced with an inflation rate of 7.2%. And giving the House a lesson on inflation, the opposition MP told the National Assembly that the value of the monthly pension and the one-off grants given to various groups of Guyanese were also reduced by 7.2%.
And when we examine budget 2023, we do not see any additional measures to bring ease to it. So the question is, did the government actually do any evaluation to come up with new measures that can bring relief to the people? You would talk about the increase of pension to 33,000, but now you have to wonder, Mr. Speaker, how will the inflation rate affect this increase?
To cushion the high rate of inflation, the Member of Parliament told the National Assembly that to complement the 33,000 old age pension, pensioners should also be given a monthly supply of food items and other necessities. Flubess, who hails from Mukka on the east bank of the Marara, did not fail to represent the now displaced families, formerly of Cane View, during her budget debate presentation, telling the National Assembly that the acts committed to those families at the start of the year were inhumane.
As I continue, Mr. Speaker, the government demonstrated what it meant about being resolute in building one Guyana. They seized the opportunity while we were still in the festive season to block up the homes, all the personal belongings, bury the animals, kill fully laden fruit trees, and hence destroy the main economic source of income for 9 families in 7 households at Cane View, Mocha, Mr. Speaker. We talk about a budget that is supposed to protect and provide for the people, but what we have seen, Mr. Speaker, is not that.
And holding up photos of what Caneview once looked like in the aftermath of the government's demolition exercise, the Member of Parliament questioned how a government could use the resources of a country to destroy the culture and livelihood of one group of people. She said Guyanese deserve better. More news coming up in just a moment.
It's been a long time coming. Overdue, some might say. But now that it's here, it will change life forever. And it is here to stay. The future is now. Transforming Guyana into the 21st century. Introducing GTT Fiber. Experience internet connectivity like never before. Speeds you deserve at prices you can afford from a name you can trust. Sign up today. GTT Fiber is here. GTT. Together, we rise faster.
Giftland Office Max, we're all about customer satisfaction. Whether it's clothing and shoes for the ladies, gents, and kids, or for the latest electronics or hardware appliance, we're always thinking of satisfying you, our dear customers. Now you can shop online at www.giftlandofficemax.com or visit us at the Giftland Mall, where we're happy to serve each and every one of you.
At the most critical life-changing moments, the National Insurance Scheme is here to ensure that your needs are covered. Access reimbursement for medical expenses for various aspects of your medical care. We know that eye care is of utmost importance. Receive assistance with our Spectacle Care voucher. Visiting the dentist? Dental care is also covered under our sickness benefit services. Offset the funeral expenses of a loved one with costs covered by our funeral benefits. National Insurance Scheme. We're there every step of the way.
Get in the game with Buster. Win a full gaming setup, Xbox X, gaming chair, gaming speaker and headset, or any of over 60 weekly prizes like Oculus Quest 2, Mini 2 drone, Nintendo Switch, and many more top gaming prizes. Check below for details.
Let's tell you now that Minister of Labour Joseph Hamilton today disclosed that 21 persons were killed at their place of work in 2022. He made that disclosure while he defended the government's budget during the budget debates. Focusing on his Labour portfolio, Mr. Hamilton said the figure represents a 20% reduction in workplace deaths when compared to the number of deaths recorded in 2022.
Mr. Speaker, in 2022, the amount of workplace deaths, it was decreased again by 20%. So, Mr. Speaker, in 2 years, we are moving from a place where in 2020, 32 persons lost their lives in workplaces. And yes, we have moved, Mr. Speaker, 2022, that has decreased to 21. and the work continues, Mr. Speaker.
Minister Hamilton also said a significant reduction in workplace deaths is as a result of programs and policies instituted by the Ministry of Labour through its Occupation Safety and Health Department. But he noted, however, that the issue is not a matter of statistics, since every time someone is killed on the job, it's an entire family that is affected.
For me, it is not statistics, because every time someone is killed at their workplace, that is a family of some person. The husband, the child, the friend of some person.
The Labour Minister said his ministry will continue to establish workplace health and safety committees both in the private and public sectors. Still with Labour matters, some 7,000 persons are expected to be trained this year on the Board of Industrial Training Programs. Minister of Labour Joseph Hamilton told the National Assembly today.
Mr. Speaker, Budget 2023 provides for us to train about 7,000 persons. So, Mr. Speaker, we are moving from a place where first you had no labor ministry, so they could not even talk about anything as regards labor. They come here, they talk about labor, talk about labor. Why you didn't talk about labor when you're in government? You had no labor ministry.
Hamilton contended that during its years in office, the APNU-AFC coalition trained between 1,300 and 1,500 persons annually under the Board of Industrial Training. The programs, he said, were centralized and failed to effectively expose the nation's young people to the oil and gas sector, though oil was discovered offshore in Guyana in 2015 and production started in 2019. Boasting of the government's commitment to capacity building and human resource development, the Labour Minister reported in 2020 more than 2,000 persons were trained on the BIT.
Mr. Speaker, between the period 2020 to now, under our government, Mr. Speaker, we trained 7,500 persons under the hand of the Board of Industrial Training.
Hamilton explained that the Board of Industrial Training program has been expanded to include courses of study related to the oil and gas sector. He said already the Ministry of Labour has signed a number of memorandums of understanding with various companies within the private sector. Meanwhile, he also told the National Assembly that the Labour Ministry received 913 complaints from walk-in employees, and about 85% of those complaints have been resolved, with the Labour Ministry recovering more than $40 million on behalf of employees from their employers. Minister Hamilton told the House that the labour relations in the country are improving, and he explained that last year the Labour Ministry countersigned 23 collective labour agreements, which were signed between labour unions and employers. President Irfan Ali this morning called on Caribbean countries that have the potential in natural gas development to quickly explore exploiting it to avert a possible catastrophic situation in the region. Addressing the opening of the Trinidad and Tobago Energy Conference in Port of Spain this morning, the president said the region is already facing an energy crisis that is driving the cost of production to unprecedented levels and is making basic items unaffordable.
This has pushed many families into poverty and food insecurity. It has forced some factories to curtail output or shut down, and it has slowed economic growth to the point where some countries are heading towards severe recession. This is the reality of the world we live in, of the region we live in, as a result of an energy crisis.
The president implored that Trinidad and Tobago must lead the way now, since it has immense potential. He said the region can no longer afford to depend on outside sources for its energy needs.
For the security of this region, for the energy needs security of this region, I once again reinforce the call that every country in the region with potential in natural gas should be allowed to explore that potential to its fullest, aggressively, to ensure the energy security of this region.
President Ali also told the conference that the Caribbean region must pursue every opportunity at renewable energy, while noting that energy sources such as solar and wind are being deployed at an unprecedented level.
High energy prices for both developing and developing countries meant what? It meant higher electricity costs, transportation costs, consumable goods costs went up. It contributed painfully to high inflation. Much of our inflation is imported. As political leaders and policymakers, we have to face that reality.
With the continued rise in the cost of energy, the president said inflation rates are also expected to skyrocket, which is not good for the region.
It's your time to win big. Spend $2,000 or more at any Massey stores to enter our Christmas jackpot promotion. You can be the lucky winner of a brand new Nissan X-Trail. You can also win a sofa set, Samsung gas stove, motorcycle, $300,000 in cash, or a fabulous weekend trip for two. Shop now until January 31st for a chance to hit Massey's Christmas jackpot. Check out our Facebook, Instagram, or website for more details.
Anson Mini Mart is now open to serve your everyday wants and needs. Our experienced pharmacists will help you feel your best, ensuring you bring home everything you need. We guarantee you will come back for everything you want. Our team is friendly. Our shelves are stocked and ready. Hassle-free shopping for your busy life. Anson Mini Mart, everyday shopping made easy. From our home to yours. Anson Mini Mart is now open to serve you. Call 220-0505 or check out our Anson Guyana Facebook page for more details.
Still with the budget debates, opposition member of parliament Amanda Walton Desir, who overlooks foreign affairs matters, took the government to task over its handling of the country's foreign policy. Though she criticized the budget as being anti-poor and anti-working class, she said the country also cannot ignore the clear and present danger that is faced with regarding the government's current foreign policy, and she described it as transactional.
Mr. Speaker, we have departed, sir, from long-standing Mr. Speaker, positions. We have de-recognized the SADR, Mr. Speaker, and it seems as though we are blown with every wind of doctrine. But Mr. Speaker, I'll tell you what the trouble is. Mr. Speaker, the trouble is that this government is unable to discern between its private interests and the interests of the state. And so the state's interests are subjected to their private interests and their deals and their kickbacks, Mr. Speaker. That is what the problem is.
Walton Desir said it was clear from since at the end of 2020 that the country did not have a clear foreign policy. She recalled the opening of the Taiwan office in Guyana, which was shut down within hours after the Chinese government urged the Guyana government to get it right. But of even more serious consequences, she said, the government is not taking the issue of migration seriously, making specific reference to the large influx of Venezuelans in many of the bordering regions. She said the government must get it right in order to avoid a catastrophic situation. MP Walton Desir also zeroed in on Guyana's foreign policy position on various issues and the need for a professional foreign service.
Professional diplomats, sir. Professional diplomats were the hallmark of our diplomacy. We were able to punch above our weight in the diplomatic arena. Now we are saddled with the likes of Charan Das Prasad.
The opposition member of parliament said the direction in which the country is heading, its foreign service must be able to withstand scrutiny, and Guyana must ensure that it is properly represented in major states.
Mr. Speaker, look, years on, we are still yet to appoint ambassadors to Venezuela and to Brazil, Mr. Speaker, two of our most consequential interactions. Mr. Speaker, it appears that this government is only able or concerned to put people in positions who they consider as loyalists, Mr. Speaker, and so they would prefer to go for years without appointing an ambassador, Mr. Speaker, rather than give it, sir, to a discerning professional diplomat, Mr. Speaker.
She said the Ministry of Foreign Affairs needs to focus seriously on those appointments. Some tragic news to report now. 2 women ages 24 and 25 lost their lives on Sunday by drowning at Feather Beach on the Essequibo coast. The 2 women have been identified as Akeisha Terrell and Kawati Lalbachan. The incident took place on Sunday afternoon just around 3 o'clock. A family member of one of the dead women said that they were all in the water dancing and having a good time when there was a sudden current that started to pull them out. A number of other persons managed to swim to shore, while others were pulled by relatives. However, the 2 women quickly vanished under the water, and searches for them came up empty-handed for several minutes. Their bodies were eventually found and both women were rushed to the Surrey hospital where doctors pronounced them dead. An investigation has been launched by the police in the area, and a post-mortem examination is expected to be carried out on both bodies. The incident has left 2 families devastated and in mourning. One of the women, Akeisha Terrell, would have been celebrating her birthday this week. The Guyana Revenue Authority has dismissed a number of its employees and disciplined others who were fingered in the license sales racket at the agency. The tax collection body said it recently uncovered a number of fraudulent practices involving persons applying for various categories of license and collusion with some of its staff members. In a press statement, the Revenue Authority said stern actions will also be taken against members of the public who collude with its officers to provide services outside of the normal procedures of the Guyana Revenue Authority. It noted in an effort to prevent such practices, the authority is cautioning members of the public against colluding with individuals, including GRA officers, to perpetuate fraud in the course of conducting any transaction. Persons found of such unlawful actions, the GRA said, are liable to a summary conviction, to fines and imprisonment. But the agency has over the years been dogged by accusations of fraud involving its staff members. Just last year, several staff members from the agency were also involved in a fake check racket. They too were dismissed.
Ansem Mini Mart is now open to serve your everyday wants and needs. Our experienced pharmacists will help you feel your best, ensuring you bring home everything you need. We guarantee you will come back for everything you want. Our team is friendly. Our shelves are stocked and ready. Hassle-free shopping for your busy life. Ansem Mini Mart, everyday shopping made easy. From our home to yours. Ansem Mini Mart is now open to serve you. Call 220-0505 or check out our Ansem Macau Guyana Facebook page for more details.
Food Max Supermarket, located on the ground floor at the Giftland Mall, is your one-stop shop for all your grocery needs. We stock a variety of imported frozen meat and food products, fresh produce, and pet supplies, freshly made bread. Rotisserie chicken and patties are also available daily. Shop in comfort today at Food Max and let our courteous staff assist you in satisfying your shopping needs. Food Max, the fresh food specialist.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true. Or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
Get in the game with Buster. Win a full gaming setup, Xbox X, gaming chair, gaming speaker and headset, or any of over 60 weekly prizes like Oculus Quest 2, Mini 2 drone, Nintendo Switch, and many more top gaming prizes. Check below for details.
Fuel it up and drive, Super 95. Tune up. Fuel it up and drive, Super 95. Tune up. Protect your fuel system, boy. High mileage and performance, boy.
Guy Super 95 gasoline gives you more reasons to drive and is available at 56 service stations nationwide. For affordable price, high performance, and high mileage, choose Guy Super 95 gasoline.
Fuel it up and drive.
Across the region tonight, Brazilian Finance Minister Fernando Haddad has played down the idea of a single shared currency between Argentina and Brazil, saying the countries were looking at ways to stimulate bilateral trade, but not extinguish their own currencies. His remarks came after Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva and Argentine leader Alberto Fernandez published a joint article saying their aim for great economic integration included studies of a common South American currency. Haddad, who floated such a possibility in an article last year, said removing trade barriers between the two largest economies in South America could involve using a single currency for commerce, given the lack of US dollars in Argentina. But that does not spell the end of the Brazilian real, he said. He said Argentina's trade with Brazil has suffered due to a lack of dollars in a southern neighbor, where an economic crisis has left the government battling to replenish foreign currency reserves, with an inflation rate of nearly 100% last year. Federal agents have seized $24 million worth of cocaine off a speedboat trying to reach Puerto Rico's southeast coast, authorities have announced. Authorities arrested 2 people from the Dominican Republic and 1 from Colombia as they seized more than 2,200 pounds of cocaine Friday near the coastal town of Omaco. It's the second largest drug seizure reported this month in the waters off Puerto Rico. Just last week, federal agents seized more than 1,700 pounds of cocaine worth $18.4 million following a chase near the northeast coast in which 2 suspects were killed and 4 others were arrested near Puerto Rico. And finally tonight, international news. The German foreign minister has said she would not stand in the way of Poland if it were to send Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine. Ukraine has called on the West to provide the German-made tanks, which they say will help them defeat Russia. Ukraine's foreign minister told the BBC that Germany had the power to save the lives of many Ukrainian soldiers. But Germany is yet to agree, and its export laws have stood in Poland's way. On Sunday, the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Germany said Poland had not yet asked for export permission. Poland's Prime Minister said on Monday that the government would request authorization from Germany. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting and encouraging you to stay safe.